Welcome back. Much has been said about China's brutal treatment and genocide of the Uyghur Muslims. Former detainees have come forward to detail firsthand accounts about torture, rape, forced abortions, and other horrific, inhumane acts committed against them in internment camps, including these two women who testified to Congress just days ago, describing life in one of those camps. They showed photos of the chains that shackled prisoners and how detainees could hear horrible screaming sounds of torture. Well, The View's co-host Sunny Hostin seemed to dismiss their horrors when she made this startling comparison between how U.S. and China handle its jailed populations. Watch.
As a woman of color with a 6'2" black kid in college and a 5'7", 5'8" black kid in high school, I don't see that part of American exceptionalism. I'm sorry. No. I think this country has a lot of problems that could be solved. Yes, maybe they're putting Muslims in jail in Afghanistan, I think you mentioned, and China. They're putting a lot of more black people in jail here.
The problem, Richard, with that comparison that I see as someone who has spent hundreds of hours in federal and state prisons here in this country is that it ruins the light that she was trying to shed on the incarcerated here in this country by making a ridiculous comparison, because there is nothing in this country, regardless if we give meat, unfit for human consumption, and the incarcerated system is absolutely broken and needs fixing. But to compare the brutalization, the systemic torture and extermination of the Muslim Uyghurs there in China with this situation falls massively flat.
Look, I hear that. I think and I appreciate that statement. And I think to some extent, you have to, if you're going to condemn one thing, you have to condemn all types of inhumanity. And I'm glad you brought up what's actually happening in Americans' prison system, because it's a real problem that impacts people who look like me and people who have the same gender as me more than any other population in this country. We're 3 times more likely to get arrested. We're 3 times more likely to be in solitary confinement, which, based on every human rights organization, it's inhumane at best. And so we can have both, but I think it's possible in America for us to have both conversations at the same time. How do we help the folks, the Uyghurs in China, and solve their dehumanization? And also, how do we reform our prison system so African-American men aren't 3 times more likely to be arrested and be part of it?
I don't think that's the question. How do you help the Uyghurs? Yeah, I don't think we're invited to help the Uyghurs. We can't go to war on their territory, because that's what that would take.
No, but I think we have to uplift their story.
They are systematically taking out a population of people. That seems to be, and it would have been nice if Sunny Hostin could have gotten the country right, too. Right. She couldn't even remember where it was happening. But in this sense, there are ways we can help. We don't have to roll around in the pig's dirt with China every day. Like, we do have some, we don't have to let them fly their spy balloon across our country. We can decouple consciously, thank you very much, Gwyneth Paltrow, from China. We can do some of that. And we can fix prisons in this country.
We can also ban private prisons, so we can do both things at the same time.
We can do both things at the same time, but you can't go rescue the Uyghurs the way that you can rescue people in prison in this country.
And maybe we should rescue people in prison in this country first if we can. I think, I'm not saying that's the point she was trying to make, but I think that's a valid point. You're right. We can fix the prison system here.
But she was putting the United States of America on the same moral plateau as China, who our own government has said is committing genocide, who the United Nations said is committing crimes against humanity. This woman, since when is it okay to dismiss a genocide on a mainstream talk show? Maybe she was just following Whoopi, who twice has made inaccurate comments about the Holocaust. We remember that. She apologized at least once for that. But she dismissed genocide. And let's be very clear what is happening here. 1 million Muslims in prison in China, many in concentration camps if it's found that they have 3 or more children. The birth rate's down by 60%. China cuts Uyghur births with IUDs, abortion, and sterilization, according to the Associated Press. And listen to this from a detainee. Here's what they told Fox News. First, they stripped off my clothing, and they tore out my earrings, so my ears were bleeding, but I didn't feel the pain. It was worse for an elderly woman, like a grandmother. They stripped everything off of her. She kept falling to the ground. Any woman under 40 was raped. And that's the okay for TV portion of what's happening. What we can't show on TV is much worse. And to equate our country with China committing genocide is reprehensible, and you do not belong on a mainstream talk show in this country.
And that's the point, Lily, is that this kind of deep ignorance is not only given platform to this country, but it's also amplified. So the fact that people are being tortured, exterminated, aborted systemically, and it's a country that we continue to do business with, that we are beholden to.
We're rolling
in
around.
Professional sports, exactly, because there is a failure of responsibility by people to take account of the position they hold and social media and the mainstream media to actually further the truth rather than capitulate to it.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you why. Because the social equity of personalities is attached to how many likes and shares and posts do you have, and the more sensational and juicy the headline, the better the engagement on your social platforms. So was she chasing attention out of a gruesome and inappropriate comparison of our great nation that, yes, has many flaws? I agree. We have room for prison reform. Yes, the facts are the facts. Black men, black people are 6 times more incarcerated than white men. There is something behind that. Why is that? Can we be constructive? But don't compare us to the regime and the crude murders of China for the sake of attention. I think here we are talking about her, giving Sunny airtime because it was juicy and sensational. And I think the social fabric of what we apply as value and equity in what we say publicly is what causes people to try to make the most gruesome comparison. So I am the most tweeted the day after.
And get the country right.
Wrong.
If you're going to talk about
the country was wrong.
Well, and I don't think she did it for clicks. I think she's ignorant.
Yeah.
The same thing with Whoopi. They're ignorant of the facts. What are you going to do? Make that mistake over and over and over again.
Yeah. And that's what we're covering here today, not because it's juicy, but because it's ignorant, because it's wrong.
Yeah.
And here we are the land of the free, unlike China. Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.